Thank you very much. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm excited to be here with Yossi, with Hen, with Leor, and thank you for Commodore for the sponsorship and for the great meetup. People, I am happy to you are welcome to be here, and I'm happy to do the lecture with you. And I will try to show you how can you deliver a secure product, okay? And also we will be able to answer a couple of questions. I will start, you know already what is SDL, at least shortly. I will explain more, but I will start with this picture. The picture with the legend of SDL. Is Steve Lipner, his name is in the Hall of Security in US. Okay, it's very famous person. He did a lot to manage secure development lifecycle in Microsoft. And since I have started to learn and to understand SDL, I have tried to participate in all SDL lectures. In one of conferences, I was honored to be on his lecture. And then after this, I have discussed with him. And I was successful to make some photo, but I did something that's not possible today. As I was able to handshake with him, and after this, I did not wash my hand about a week. Of course, now it's not possible. It's not possible to handshake, and we need to wash hands at least 20 times a day. But let's start. What we will see today. We will see what is SDL. I will try to explain why SDL is important. We will see one example. We will see Tufin SDL, and also we will see how can you deliver a secure product. Okay. Before I will do it, a couple of words about me. I have a lot of years security. I work as a lead security architect at Tufin, and I do like to do presentations. This is one of presentation, and you can find additional presentation in my blog. You can follow me on Twitter and to personal issues. I just like to travel, to read books, and to listen to music. Travel is very difficult now, but you know we still can like it. Okay, about Tufin. We are market leader in security policy automation, and we have a couple of. Okay, sorry, it was page up instead of page down. So we have a lot of customers. We help customers to manage network and hybrid networks. Okay, it's on-prem networks, firewall, cloud, Kubernetes. In all networks, we help to manage security policy. We are a security policy company. Okay, we always growing, even in COVID times. We have a lot of positions, software engineers, QA engineers, DevOps. Please contact me if you need any details. Okay, I will explain my journey to SDL. I have joined Tufin a lot of years ago, and I knew how to resolve security issues. I knew what is OWASP top 10, what XSS, what scale injection, how to resolve it, how to prevent it. But the security process, it was something new for me. How to do it in the best way, how to answer customer questions, how to upgrade software, how to manage pen test. A lot of issues that maybe even I don't know, even I didn't knew in this area. Okay, so we have started to research. Of course, we did not want to reinvent the wheel, and we were saved by SDL. We have found SDL, and we have started to implement it. So, what is SDL? Okay, SDL is security development lifecycle. It's just help us to add controls to each development phase. And of course, as a result of this process, we will develop secure software. Okay, I will start from history of SDL. I hope you know this person. His name is Bill Gates. he did a lot for software engineering, okay? And in fact, he did a lot for SDL. Sorry. Okay. The SDL, it started from a mail of Bill Gates to all Microsoft employers. It was in 2002. I will not read the mail, but you can see it, and you can find that, you know, he just asked to ensure that security is, you know, started to be handled in Tufin, in Microsoft, sorry. What happens, Microsoft shut down development for some time to handle security issues. It was first time in Microsoft history. And then they have started to develop its own process. It was internal in 2004. Then it went public in 2008. And the last version, it's published in 2011, okay? And of course, as I discussed, it was a very good process. It was adopted by many companies like Adobe, Cisco, and it finally was adopted by Tufin. Why it is important? It's a great question. So it ensures that we enable security out of the box. It helps us to develop secure software and wait a second. I'm sorry. Yes. Help to develop build secure software, and it help to define how to respond to vulnerabilities. Okay. As example, as I said, I use Microsoft SDL. Sometimes SDL called secure software development lifecycle, SDLC. But I will use along this presentation the terminology of Microsoft SDL. So according to Microsoft, we have this phase, these names. Of course, we have these phases in each development, but these names of Microsoft. It's a requirement, design, implementation, verification, and the release. Okay. And the SDL approach, it's shift left. We want to start security as early as possible in our process, as left as possible in our diagrams. It means we want to start security in requirements. Okay. This is example. This is Tufin SDL. As I said before, I will use the terminology for each stage on each item and stage of Microsoft. Okay. Of course, you can find the examples of SDL in the internet. What benefits from my presentation that I will try to provide tips for each phase. Okay. And I hope these tips will be useful, but I will not be able to provide you the vendors. It's a not commercial presentation, and I will provide tips. You will not see what vendors you will need to use for SAST or DAST. Okay, I will explain what is this, but just good recommendation and tips. Okay, let's start. Let's start to see what we have in each phase. In training, we have sessions and we have established security champions. Okay. Why we need to do security training? And because first of all, we need to teach people about security. We know security, we like security, but maybe additional people want to learn more. We need to explain this to our people. We need to explain latest security threats, as for example was explained by Lior. Okay. We want to explain our top 10 best practices that, for example, top 10 was replaced 2 or 3 years ago. Okay. In addition, we have security champions in each team. It is not possible to scale security without security champion. And security champion ensure that they handle security for each development. Okay. I have discussed with a couple of my friends in the similar position, and they tell me that usually very difficult to make security champions successful. And so what is success from my point of view? So first of all, security champions should be happy. Second, he should improve the security of the company or security development in his team. And how we did it? We just try to identify the concrete security problems, specific security issues, and security champions resolve and investigate these issues. And then he teach, for example, he do a lecture for security champions for the whole R&D. This example, for example, one investigation was how to handle context security policy, CSP. Context security policy is dedicated HTTP header. So we have research and we will apply it how in the best way. Additional research, what is the best way to prevent XML external entity, XXE? We have researched it, and even I'm just proud to show our success. Even our lecture was selected and we have showed this in OSP meetup. It means that our security champions investigations were showed to in OSP meetup. So it make its happy security champions, and it make our security be in a better way. Okay, let's continue. Let's go to requirements and design. We need to do it early. Why? First of all, it saves times. We will not need to reopen user stories. We implement in security, where security requirements in the consideration. And we create feature requirements, feature design, and test plan where security incorporated. Okay, we do design together, both by development and by security teams. Okay, so maybe ask your question, how can you ensure Dev and QA handle security? You should remember that day-to-day duty of Dev and QA is to develop feature. They don't need to handle security. So we have tried to do it in easy way. We have created a checklist, and Dev and QA answer the simple checklist, and then they incorporate security in design and test plan. This is examples. For example, if you develop new API, ensure authentication, authorization, ensure input validation, you can read the rest of list, and of course, you can add additional examples according to your security knowledge. Okay, now we have started implementation. We have created good requirements, and we have created secure design. What we have in our implementation? We have SAST, we have software updates, and we have peer reviews. What is SAST? SAST is static application security testing. It's a dedicated tool that just allows you to scan code, source code or bytecode. It's not product, it's just code, even before the product exists. And SAST tools create recommendation. If you will follow this recommendation, your code will be created in a more secure way, and it will allow you to ensure to decrease the risk of vulnerability. Okay, it does not prevent for sure that you don't have any issues, but it's decreased dramatically. Okay, may you ask yourself, where should do it? Should I do it on each commit? And according to my experience, not. Because we have found a lot of issues, even without changing of any code. Why it happens? Because these engines also created by software engineers, and they improve their products continuously. And sometimes they found new issues in existing code. So from my point of view, you did it at least weekly or maybe daily. But according to my experience, putting in each commit, it's big effort and not sure it's good. But I will repeat this sentence a lot during this presentation. You need to fix high issues immediately. I mean, if you will find some high issue or critical issue during your scan, please fix it immediately, and then your investment will be lower because it's a fresh issue, and you will be able to keep security on the good level. Okay, now we understand what is SAST. Let's go software updates. Software updates has a lot of names. Sometimes free open source, OOS, but the same meaning. In our reality, it's not possible to create all products by, only by company. We use a lot of components, a lot of third-party software. We use by also open sources, and we use also commercial. How can we ensure that this third party without any security problems? Can we do it without a tool? And the answer no. We need to find some tools that will help you to handle this vulnerability. You need to scan it. You need to scan it periodically, okay? And find issues. And if you will find third party with vulnerability, you need to upgrade. Okay. What happens if you need to upgrade? My recommendation, you need to ensure that the third party will not have any high issue after the upgrade. Okay, for example, if you will upgrade and invest some effort, and after the upgrade, you will still have some issues, so you did not increase your security. You need to upgrade to some version without high vulnerabilities. Then, in this case, you will increase your security. Now we understand what is upgrades. Let's discuss about peer reviews. In our case, it's mandatory for every code change. And for every code change, we try to ensure that we don't put any new issues. We are trying to not add to code. For example, password is a plain text, or password we don't store it on the client side. You can do it during peer review. Please understand it's very early stage of development, and even your design is great, and you will print password as a plain text, I think it's bad. So try to do it, some best practices during peer reviews. Okay, we have implemented, we have our product. We want to verify it. So in addition to test verification of regular functional, we do internal scan and DAST. What are internal security scan? Is some tools that will help you to check ports, to check ciphers, to check quality of your HTTPS connection, and how frequently should I do it? My opinion, you don't open ports each day. And of course, we don't have new vulnerabilities of ciphers each day. Let's say MD5, it's vulnerable, but it's long time. Recently, you cannot use SHA-1, etc. But you can scan at least monthly. You don't need to do it on each commit, okay? Of course, it depends on your release cycle. For example, if you release your Agile is one a week, so maybe you need to scan it once a week. Okay, but once again, you need to fix high issues immediately, and then you will be able to keep your security on the high level. Do you remember I have promised not to tell about providers? Still, I can show one provider because it's free service and it's a great service. It's a service of Qualys SSL Labs, SSL test. You can check your connection, and it's a great report. It check a lot of settings in your SSL connection, what ciphers you use, what protocols it's, for example, if you will be able to run it, you will be able to increase security of your HTTPS connection. But please don't forget to press on don't show the result on the board. Otherwise, if you have started and you have bad connection, maybe you will have a bad grade on the board. I'm not sure that you want to do it. In our case, we have A+, okay, and we have invested a lot to achieve A+, and you know, try this tool. What is DAST? DAST is dynamic application security testing. It's once again, it's dedicated tool that allow you to test, but it's allow you to test application. So you need to install your application, it tests UI, it access to UI, or it access to APIs, it access to something that's possible to attack for example, with HTTP protocol, okay? And once again, when to do it? I think similarly, you depend on your release cycle, but let's say 1 month, monthly, and because you don't add API each commit, you don't add the new UI each commit, so please try to do it in a good way, but you know, I'm not sure that do it on each commit is very good, okay? And I will repeat it. Please fix high issues as you discovered, and then it will continue, your security will be continue in great way. Okay, we have finished. We have finished our products. What we do now? We want to release. Okay, stop for a second. Before you release, you need to do external security test. What is security test? What is security pen test? And why external pen test? Why we cannot hire some pen tester in our company and to do it? In our case, it was security requirements of our customers, because their requirement was that we will provide the pen test from some external reviewer, some objective view of our security. And just one issue that very interesting case. One pen test we have found that some issue. We have fixed this issue, and we have asked this company to remove this from a report, and they tell us no, we cannot do it. Okay, why? Because we can only mark it as fixed, but we cannot remove it from the report. So these companies also handle security and handle some regulation, and you know, it's great to do it with external company. Okay, ensure you will create a scope. You understand your application. You understand it's a web or infra. It's maybe Android or whatever. You understand what's the scope, but please provide, because external pen test company, they don't know it. Maybe, you know, they may miss some issue in your application. Then you need to explain them what to test. Okay, and better you inform every stakeholder that you will have it, because usually it's some big operation. Okay. Now we have finished, and we can deploy and we can send to our customers. Customers start to use it, and they maybe will find some issues. To handle it, we need to define vulnerability response policy. What is vulnerability response policy? You need to understand and need to define the process, what you will do for each severity. If vulnerability with critical severity, what you need to do? High severity, what you need to do? Medium, low, and some easier, not vulnerable, it's nothing to fix. So this is our example. You can decide for your company something else, but most important, you need to decide it. You need to do it, okay? And sorry. Wait a second. We are here. So you need to define it, to create some document, and need to approve it. Why it's good to approve it? Because it affects everything. It affects sales, support, development, okay? And for example, if development can resolve high issues during 1 month, and some sales will sign agreement with one customer that he want to resolve high issues in 10 days, it's bad. Bad because customers will not be happy. You will not be able to provide a fix. So vulnerable response policies should be approved on high level of the company. Okay. Dear people, now we know every stage of SDL. It's our SDL. And may you ask yourself, how can I roll out it? What can I do? So I will provide some tips. How can you do it? Okay. So let's start it by phases. In first phase, I do recommend you will do vulnerability response policy, security scan, and software updates. I think it's minimal. Without this, you will not be able to, to advance in SDL. Of course, you cannot advance in SDL if you will not be able to, to apply vulnerability response policy in your organization. Second phase is external security tests. It's something that will cost for you, and it's also effort from the organization. So, but it's second and necessary step. Then you can think about SAST and DAST. DAST is the most complicated to apply in organization, so you can do it as last. What you can do in ongoing, okay. Improve your security requirements and design practices. Training. Establish security champions. Train your security champions. Ensure they know more and more security. Ensure to increase peer review, increase security in your peer review process. You need something better? Open this link, open your link, and you will find additional techniques. We are happy with our SDL, okay, and we still want to improve, okay. So I will finish maybe with tips how to select a tool for any SDL phase. You can do a lecture about 1 hour, how to do it, and a couple of tips. Do perform POC, and you understand the requirements for your POC. You know what your technology, what is your technology. My requirements is not your requirements. You can use both commercials or open source. And last tip, but not last but not least, it's not essential to use the same provider. Sometimes you will see that recently providers try to provide all SDL tools, but select for yourself. Maybe it's good. Maybe it will be good for you to take the same provider, but maybe not. Test it, do a POC. Finally, we can answer this question. How can you deliver your secure product? Start to roll out SDL and improve SDL on a regular basis, okay? And takeaways. I hope you will take home after my presentation that what is SDL. You understand that you need to roll out SDL in your organization, and most important, follow it. And it will allow to deliver a secure product. I will happy to your questions, and I want to thank you. And you can contact me using this information. I have finished my presentation, and I will happy to answer your questions.
Okay, so thank you very much, Michael. It was really insightful presentation. Guys, please write your questions in the chat, in the Zoom, or in the Q&A. Feel free to write the questions. So, Michael, okay, let's see. Okay, one of the questions from Ofer. SDL exists for 20 years, and there are still a lot of attacks. Where is the weak link today in the process, and where is it headed, Michael?
It's a great question, but it's not also regarding SDL. You should understand that attacker also are more sophisticated. I don't know if you remember that about 20 years ago, it's like if you will put firewall, it will prevent from your attacks. It was some happy time for security that firewall will, will resolve everything. But so the issue is that you need to continuously improve your SDL, and the most important, I'm not sure that possible to prevent attack for 100%, but you need to be able to resolve it in very good way. For example, if you will be able to solve 95% of issues before you release a product, it's good, okay? And believe me, if you will do at least what I have discussed about, you will be able to resolve any issues, a lot of issues, not any issues, a lot of issues. So it's not, I don't think that SDL is, will be, even in next 10 years, it will provide the 100% of, that we don't have any vulnerability, but it will ensure that we resolve a lot. I hope I answered the question.
Okay. Another question that we have here is from Varum. Could you share some samples and the checklist of the SDL? Like, for example, follow OAS checklist or some other recommendation or recommended formats and standard for the SDL?
I just will try to explain how we have created. Definitely we have started from OAS, but it depends on, once again, on your product. For example, one of OAS top 10 is CSRF protection. Or in our organization, we have resolved it using same-site cookie. So I don't need to check on both from QA and from from developer that we are protected against CSRF, because this already protected as part of infrastructure. But developer create new API, and if they create new API, they need to provide some action items. So it's, I mean, that you need to, from your, on one side, to have all the list, and then to filter and to provide to QA and to developers the list what is relevant for them. Okay, this is how we have created the list. And I have provided example about API. If you want to ensure that that you don't store input validation. For example, you want to ensure HTTP methods in your checklist. I think that you just start for some checklist, and you will be able to add some additional issue in the future. I hope I was able to answer your question.
I also think that's really great input, Michael, and I think, and I can share that eventually it's a collaboration between security professionals and developers, working together in order to secure the product, securing the business. And this is what Michael is saying. Of course, you can rely on best practices, as Michael explained, like OASP and Microsoft SDLC, and there are lots of examples, but eventually it's a collaboration between us as security. And Michael also talked about the shift left approach. It's very, very sufficient way to do security. So last question to Michael. Can you please, from Kobe, can you please elaborate on the baseline training for developers? Any tips or tricks on the agendas and timeline?
Oh, great Great question. I will start from the last one. Timeline. I think at least once in a quarter, okay, because software engineering security is very agile, and at least 1 and couple of months. And agenda, once again, depends on what we have in reality. Let's say we have new OWASP top 10. You should elaborate it to software engineers. About if you have resolved, I will repeat this same site cookie, we did lecture for all R&D, okay? And of course, it should be relevant for your organization. If you develop Android-based product, then you need to search and to provide lecture related to Android security. And then it will be relevant to people, okay? And the baseline, as the Lord say, it's OWASP. OWASP is a great place for start baseline as security trainings. I hope I was able to answer the question.
Yes, and we will keep questions to the end of the meetup, of course, but we need